Afre Guam, I'm Leah Claveo with the Joint Region Marianas Public Affairs Office, and welcome to a special segment of Island Images. During the month of July, we are reminded of the events of World War II as our island celebrates its 71st Liberation Day, when American forces came to Guam to liberate our people. In anticipation of the celebration, we wanted to learn a little about what life was like before the war.
The United States assumed Guam shortly after the Spanish-American War of 1898. And shortly thereafter, in about a year, after the United States assumed control of Guam, when they ceded Guam to the United States, island of Guam was assigned to the Navy. And the Navy had the administration of the entire island. And that period of Guam was called the Naval Government of Guam. The generation that lived between 1899 up until 1941 lived under the Naval Government of Guam, and they assigned a naval governor here nearly every 2 years to the island.
Magdalena San Nicolas Bayani, also known as Tendeta, was born in 1915 and can still recall what her childhood was like on Guam before World War II.
Tendeta. That's all I know. Then I asked my auntie, how come that I become Deda? Because my younger boy, when he caressed me and kissing me, he kept on calling me Deda, Deda, and then my mother heard it, right? So she gave me another name again. Deda. If you hear Deda, I'm the only one Deda.
Magdalena spoke about attending school and how she was able to study a variety of subjects such as history, math, reading, and spelling. Although she enjoyed her lessons, she was forced to leave after completing 6th grade.
They let me out because we cannot afford to pay to buy the book. But now they didn't buy the book now. No. And then the principal called me to ask why I quit. Then they tell my brother-in-law that I'm the highest in the test night, the highest girl in the test. And they said, don't you know that Magdalena? But I never talk about any school in my house, and only they know that I'm smart on account of the principal told my brother-in-law why that they want me to come out to quit school when I'm very smart in the house. So I said I don't like to quit, but we cannot afford the book and we cannot buy the book. That's why they let me quit, because they're very poor before the people. We're having money from my father that's selling the pig, selling cow, selling and then they went again and cutting fish and they're selling those things. And they're planting vegetable and they're selling again the vegetable. That's the people's life before.
What did most children go do before the war? After school, did they open up the books? No. After school, you walk to the farm and you tend to the vegetables and to the animals. And they walk from Agana to the outskirts to where their lunches were at, their ranches. That was the life at the time. You have your primary residence within the village, and then the extension of your other residence is the lunsu. So when you're in the village, you abide to all the introduced elements of what's being introduced from the outside world. Education, the way you dress, everything and all that. But when you get to the lunsu, you become pure Chamorro, where you start learning what is Chamorro.
By the time Magdalena was 11 years old, both of her parents had passed away, and she was raised by her sister Maria. Once she completed school, Magdalena looked for ways to earn money.
The job is to work with somebody as a house girl, to clean the house and everything. That's only the kind of job. To go and work in somebody's house to pay you. Only kind of job, only teachers and policemen and nurses. That's only the kind of job. Other than that, nothing. Every day they clean the house and the yard because the policemen, they come in and checking us. That's all we do. That kind of job only to clean the outside and to clean the house. That's all, and then you stay home. You cannot go no place. Only to the church, huh? Only to the church, no place, no party either. When we pray novena and finish, they just cook and they cook, and then who's having novena, they send it and to give it them in their house.
During the years of the naval government of Guam, the opportunities for job were very minimal. They worked as nurses and they worked as teachers. When the naval government was established here in Guam, the two priorities really were health and education. And that's why the hospital, the pre-war Sasana Hospital, was established. And then a nursing program at that. And then they also established the educational system and also had a teacher's program for that. Those were the government jobs at the time. But there was very little private sector jobs here in Guam. And especially in the Agana area, it was Sumai. Sumai was the economic lifeline of Guam at the time. Hagåtña was merely the administrative seat of the government, of the naval government of Guam. And so in the Sumai area, you had the cable station, you had the China Clipper, and they were employing the Chamorros to work in these different, companies. You had Chamorros working, of course, to support the military installation there, the Marine barracks. So you had all these different jobs there. It was very different to Agana.
Magdalena and her family lived in Agana throughout her early life. On December 8, 1941, her world and her beautiful island changed forever.
1941, that day when we didn't know if we were going to have war. We're in the church, and then the priest said they release us home, say you go because they bombed Sumai already. And we didn't know that. They spread all over and they didn't know where to go because they attack us. That's supposed to be sometime yesterday night, but in Salsa. And we didn't know the people where to go. We come out in the road, we didn't know where to go. Only that day, the Japanese already arrived. And we hiding. I ran away to my auntie's ranch and I stayed there.
The Chamorro culture was very vibrant, very alive, because it was still the way of life. It was the war that really was the milestone of the culture change. And that is why when you're talking to the elders, they would always make this reference in Chamorro. Ayade, oh my God, ilinala, the life. Antes de guerra, the way of life before the war, then ilinala después de guerra, and the life after the war. And they really can dissect the two differences of what had happened to Guam from that milestone that occurred in World War II that changed Guam completely, really.